Okay, so the next book we're going to do is working with children. I'm sure there's a phrase about working with children and animals, and in science, sometimes you get to do both in the same lesson. Woodlouse never do what you want them to do, in my experience, but there you go. So let's start off with something really nice. And someone was saying they just said there was a book of these things, the funniest or loveliest thing a child has said to you. There we are. Yes, Jade. Do you want to start us off then? Oh, you're on mute.
That phrase gave me such a flashback to doing uni online. Um, One of the things I always suggest to ECTs or trainees that I work with is when you are given a really, really nice notebook that you're too scared to write in, save it and write all the nice things or funny things that children say to you throughout the years. Because then when you have a day that's gone absolutely awfully and you get to the end of the day and you just have your head on the desk and you think, why am I doing this? I want to leave. You have a flick through this book and it reminds you. And I started it in my first year because one of my friends very kindly gave me a inscribed notebook just after I got married with my new name on it. And it was so pretty that I didn't want to write in it. And I thought, this is what I could start doing. And I'm just going to pick out one of my favorites from last year, which is Mrs. Plum, your hair looks beautiful when it's curly. It's like pasta. It's making me hungry. This was right in the middle of a science lesson, completely unrelated to anything. But it just made me laugh so much that as soon as they were doing their independent work, I had to sit and write it down.
I love that. I feel like there's a publishing contract in that book there, Jade. I'm so, in fact, I feel like it should be then sent out to anyone as part of a recruitment strategy for teaching. Anyone else got any ideas on how to remember or what the funniest or loveliest thing? Kate?
The loveliest thing is in my third year of teaching, I think it's about 10 years ago, I was in year four and a girl came into my class who was Romanian, who had no English whatsoever. She had to leave most of her family and her pet and everything in Romania, so she was pretty traumatized. She had medical issues and all kinds of things going on, so she was challenging. The word she did know was no. And so we worked on that. We worked with her for a year and, formed an amazing relationship. And by the end of it, she would say to me, I love your hair. I love your dress. And if I took my glasses off, she'd go, put your glasses on, because she didn't like it if I took my glasses off. But funnily enough, I was thinking about her and her and her mum messaged me this morning. So I sometimes get a really lovely message from them back in Romania. But yeah, it's amazing how you can make such a massive impact on somebody, and to the point that they, 10 years down the line, they're still remembering what you've done for them. And, it's definitely a vocation and those kind of things. That's why we do what we do, isn't it? So.
Thank you. That is really lovely. Carole, was that your hand up? Oh, Elaine.
Yeah, I had to teach a child to sign. So I went into his nursery to see what he had learned and then took him in to start being 5. And it was the most wonderful experience. Taught the children as well. And then the following year, I still had the class, still signing with him. Whole class signed, and it was just wonderful. And then the year before he was leaving, I taught whole school science, but I was aimed at his level at the time. And then he sat in assembly, and we would sit weekly at assembly signing across. And he would say, this is really boring, isn't it? And I would say, yes, I know, but just put your eyes forward and just watch. And it was just wonderful that he had learned that, and the other children understood him as well. So I just loved doing that. That was fun.
Brilliant, thank you. And I like Mark's one there. As someone who was Dr. Parry in the classroom as one, there was always a lot of people coming to me with medical woes, which I couldn't help with at all. So I feel that. Feel free to share your funniest, loveliest thing again, but also let's move on and think about that light bulb moment. I do remember a student said to me like, oh, it's just like in maths, and my heart like jumped up. I was like, yes. And then they were, so why are we bothering doing it here as well? At which stage I had to stifle a laugh and give an explanation. But that light bulb moment when you see that they've got it, any thoughts on that? Any memories to share? Oh, Carol.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this is one of the things that I love about teaching science is you get them like all the time because it's like all these little like tweaks and things. And I think for me, a lot of the time it's when you have students who maybe historically have found science quite a struggle or academically maybe haven't achieved so well in science. And then with like models or like, performance and like ways of expressing it, that they get it. I think those are the moments that just feel especially satisfying because it's like you can see them be like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can get this. It feels, feels warm in my heart.
Carol. Elaine, you were going to say something as well there.
Yeah, I seen children that just would stop me walking through the school and ask me a science question. Could I identify the rocks? Or I brought in a plant today. What can I do with it? And you just think, yeah, you've got them. You really have them. They want to know those facts and they've gone home and they've thought about it and they take that forward and then they bring it back into school again. You've got them.
Could I just chip in there? And I think it's on the same sort of lines as Elaine and Carol. There are so many of these moments that, I'll be honest, they don't stand out. Rather than a light bulb, it's like the Blackpool illuminations, I think, being a science teacher. But it's when you do those lessons with surly teenagers who are too cool for school and all of this, and then all of a sudden you're doing something with magnets, or for me, anything around electromagnetic induction and that sort of thing, and they become little children again. They just love it, and it's that joy and that joy of doing science, and they're no longer too cool for school. They actually want to be there, and there's pleasure. Those are the moments. So less about the intellectual and more about the emotional engagement with science, and then you're doing a good job.
Thank you. I think I did some work in alternative provision, so children who were out of mainstream school for lots of different reasons. And I have to say, it wasn't necessarily the light bulb moments, but it was sometimes just their realization that they could do things and they were getting praise for something. And these were often children who hadn't received a lot of praise for some reason. And just seeing their confidence build was just so, so lovely. The next two questions I've got on there are a little bit repetitive from earlier, but I think it's worth just revisiting them when we're specifically thinking about those children, that positive start for your new classes. And again, what happens when things don't go quite as they've planned. And classrooms are dynamic places, and I won't share all the stories because we've all have loads, but anything can happen. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So maybe sort of thinking about that positive start and something unexpected happens, how do you cope?
I'm going to jump in on this because I've already said about the positive start, building the relationships, and how do you recover when things haven't gone as you planned. I have tried to instill in my class that it's okay for things to go wrong, including when it's going wrong for me. And I don't mind if we all have a laugh at it. I have been in the same classroom for 3 years. Halfway through my first year, they decided to replace my interactive whiteboard. The problem is they bought a cheap one. It's never worked properly. It likes to turn itself on and off randomly. It likes to change the color of the pen or draw circles or change to a rubber when I'm halfway through writing things, which is usually fine unless I'm being observed. But sometimes it just doesn't switch on and we have to, completely change lessons. And I've taught the children that it's okay. We can all laugh at it. And it's a lot of the time it's those situations where you're like, oh, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. Because you've planned this beautiful lesson to do on the interactive whiteboard and it's just decided it's not going to work today. And you've got to, on the fly, come up with something else to do. And I think just laughing at yourself, knowing that things are going to go wrong and it's fine, and just roll with it and it's be all right. But also have a backup in case your interactive whiteboard doesn't work, because it's always when you have something important to do that the technology is just going to not want to work for you. Or maybe that's just me.
No, I don't think that's just you, Jade. I think that technology and science as well, I think as well, we put ourselves in a position where there's a number of things that can go wrong in unexpected ways. Has anyone got anything else? Kate said about trying to be as prepared as you can, and I think this is something that comes with experience. The more you've been teaching, not so much that you'll have seen that particular circumstance before, but you're more used to managing the unexpected, which I think can really help.